live a wonderful life. It's just an aspect of what you've got going on. It's not in any way a limitation.
As president, what would your HIV policies be?
My HIV policy will be, whatever it takes, let's defeat this thing. Not only that, I would hope to be very active in helping to handle this scourge internationally as well, because I think that America, the United States, should be taking a role of moral leadership in all things, and including that.
Yeah, and something that's very important is the fight against stigma. We all know that stigma kills. Out-of-date misinformation that exists out there in the world about what HIV means in this day and age. I'll let these people squeeze on through. If elected, how will you help change and correct the narrative about HIV?
Well, first of all, my own experience, my having founded AIDS organizations back in the 1980s, one of the things we would do is give massages. We would have massages for people with HIV, which back in the 1980s was a big deal, but it was showing something. And I would show that also as president. I would make sure with my conversation, perhaps with someone who worked, certainly LGBTQIA plus people would be represented in terms of my administration, but I would certainly do everything necessary, and not only in terms of my conversation, but in terms of my demonstration to make it clear.
Let's talk about sex education.
My daughter has HIV-positive godfathers.
Okay. So let's talk about sex education in schools and HIV, because the current education it's so out of date. It's so misaligned. Nobody
teach sex education now
right.
in the schools.
Nobody talks about U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. Again, as president, how do you get that messaging, especially U equals U, out there into the general public?
Well, a lot of the power of the president is not only in what the president proposes in terms of policy, not only in terms of the conversation that the president has with the American people, but also the people that the president appoints. So that's the kind of thing where you make sure you're a Secretary of Education. And one of the pillars of my campaign is my desire for a United States Department of Children and Youth. And anti-discrimination of every kind would be a big issue there for me. That's why I want something bigger than just the Department of Education. Anti-discrimination, anti-bullying, and unfortunately, there is no community that is more at risk of discrimination and bullying in schools among young people than LGBTQIA+. So I would be very on that.
Marianne, lastly, what's your message to your HIV-positive voters out there?
Live a wonderful life. It's just an aspect of what you've got going on. It's not in any way a limitation. It's just a condition. It's a chronic condition. Like, I remember when AIDS was first on the scene, and we just prayed. I remember I kept always saying, because this was before they had any medicine, and I used to say, we don't need a cure. There's no cure for cancer, but people can live with a chronic, manageable condition. There's no cure for diabetes, but can be a chronic, manageable condition. So you have a chronic, manageable condition. Go live a fabulous life, and don't even consider the possibility that it will limit you in any way. That's what I say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time. Cheers.
Thank you.